What is the purpose of post-secondary education?
Well, students who leave high school need to have a plan, something that they're going to do, whether it's work or get trained in a skill or seek to go to a university or college into a career. And so it's important that you have some plan and place to go and some other education other than a high school diploma, because nowadays that doesn't get you very far.
What types of post-secondary education are available?
There's community college or state college, there's university, there's military, usually has some sort of education. It's more of a skill building, unless you go to a military academy, and then you'll get a university type of education through them. And then there's also technical school or vocational school that provides post-secondary education.
What are the differences between these types?
So military, you're going to have service to the United States, and they're going to train you into a specific job that, depending on the score that you make on that ASVAB, they'll track you into a career within the military. With university, you're looking at a bachelor's degree at a minimum for a 4-year, which is 120 semester hours. Community college, you'll have either an AA, which you can transfer with into a university, or you'll have an Associate of Science, which is a terminal degree. So you get trained in 60 hours of something, and then you go right into the workforce and what you're trained in. And then you have vocational, which can range from 1 year to a couple of years in a certification or a license.
What are the differences in tuition for these types?
Of course, university is going to be the most expensive, and then that all depends on out of state, whether you go to a state university or an out of state university. Community college is going to be half the cost of that, but a lot of times with those degrees, you're either going right into the workforce or into a university setting. Vocational is affordable, generally a good place to go if you're not sure what you want to do after you graduate from high school. And then of course military is at no cost to the person who is entering, because they're paying it back in service after the fact.
What are the prerequisites for each type?
So for a 4-year university, you're going to have to meet their admission standards, which vary from university to university. In the state of Florida, you have to have met most of the academic requirements that you need for high school graduation, as well as a language requirement and test scores and a certain grade point average. And for community college, a lot of times they're going to look at your that you graduated from high school and you have some sort of high school diploma, as will the university, and that you have a minimum grade point average. Vocational school, they're going to want you to have a minimum of a high school diploma, and I don't believe they'll have a readiness test for you to enter into, but most of the time, if you've graduated high school, you can pass the readiness test. And the same thing with military. They have what's called the ASVAB, so that's going to assess your educational ability, and if you score a certain score on that, then they place you into different branches and careers from there, and a high school diploma. So all of them require a high school diploma. So you need to graduate high school.
How do students decide where to go?
Everyone has a different way of deciding. Most students, it's a class they took in high school, or it's they know somebody who works in a field that just piqued their interest. Some students will do career tests or career inventories, and they'll get a cluster of careers based on their talents and their likes and their dislikes. And for some students, they don't know, and a lot of times those students will go in as an undecided major and then take a class when they get to wherever it is they're going, whether it's community college or university, and then decide. So it really varies from student to student.
What are the different types of degrees that students can get?
It starts you can get an AS degree, which is an Associate of Science, or an AA, which is an Associate of Arts, and that's the degree that you transfer with. At a 4-year university, you would be looking at a Bachelor's of Science or a Bachelor's of Arts, and then beyond that, you're looking at Masters and PhDs.
How do students find scholarships they're eligible for?
We have a scholarship drawer here at the school, as well as there's some online resources. Sometimes where if a student has a job somewhere, those their employers or where they work might offer a scholarship. Sometimes students are nominated for scholarships based on certain criteria. So there's a variety of ways that you can get a scholarship or look for a scholarship.
Besides scholarships, what are other options to pay for college?
You can apply for the FAFSA with the federal government, and through that there's grants, scholarships, and loans, and a work-study program. And then there's Bright Futures that's offered with the state of Florida, which is a merit-based scholarship. And then there's always prepaid mom and dad, or work.
What should students do to prepare for post-secondary education?
I think it's important for a student to really have a focus in what they want to study before they go to school, even if when they get there it turns out that he or she doesn't want to study that, but at least to know if a university is where you want to go, or a community college, or a vocational school. To research the schools, to make sure you visit those schools that you're applying to, that you're considering, because you may like it on paper, but when you get there you may not like the campus or the students, or maybe it's too far away from home. So the location is important, where you're going to school. And then of course knowing what you want to study is important in deciding where you want to go to school, because some schools may not offer the program in the degree that you want to seek.
What kind of jobs are required if going to a vocational school?
So somebody who would go to a vocational school, they can, like Lively for instance offers vocational programs like cosmetology, massage therapy, there's heating and air conditioner, welding, some medical assisting programs, and those are fields where you can go and you learn hands-on training, you learn a trade, carpentry, and mechanics is another one, and I think there's an aviation, a mechanical program too with Lively. And so those are students who would then they go by hours, so they have to do so many practical hours and study so many hours in training how to do the job, and then from there they get placed into a job right after.
With the AA, they are admitted directly into a university?
It depends where you're going. If you're staying local here in Tallahassee and your plan is to go to FSU, Florida A&M University, or University of West Florida, then there's a program, as long as you're meeting the requirements, that will track you right into one of those schools, into the college that you're going to major in. However, if it's not one of those schools and you get an AA, then you need to meet the requirements to get into that 4-year university, wherever you're going. But if you get an AA, really all you can do with it is transfer to a 4-year university.
Is there an online option for getting your bachelor's?
Some schools offer online. I don't know off the top of my head which ones do, but there are some schools that offer a bachelor's, or a combination where you can take some classes online and some in the actual classroom.